I'm happy to have you, brother Frank Baker, somebody who's been super involved in the community. You are involved anything from real estate to, really kind of the investment strategies, but also for the community as well. Tell us a little bit about who you are, sir.
Okay, so I'm a realtor, as most of you know. I do commercial, I do residential, Laval, Montreal, all the way up to over here in Saint Sever. Been doing this for a little over 10 years now, and I try and guide my clients, my investors, the best that I can with the knowledge that I've got. I'm always on top of things, so I'm usually pretty good at it.
So you have a great vantage point to tell us about how life was like before COVID and what's been happening since. I mean, there was a huge halt. There's a little bit of a thaw. You're allowed to be in business again and show properties. Tell us about the before and after.
Okay, so the market was literally, it was just on fire prior to March 13th. Multiple offers, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 14 offers. I saw other colleagues up to 18 offers. Yeah. Montreal, you're looking at, $80, $90, $100,000 over asking price and more, wow. I'm sure. These are cases that I know of. Laval even, right up until the end, we were getting offers of 50, 60,000 over asking for, bungalow, 350,000. So the market was literally on fire. And then, boom, it stopped. We were all stopped, obviously, because the government, the sanitary measures. So since then, obviously, it's slowed down. It came to a halt. And now we're reopening slowly. So basically, what we're allowed to do right now is anybody who is in a lease, for example, that has to leave by July 31st, 2020, because other people are moving in, will have to, somebody, whether in a lease or somebody who sold their property, that again has new people moving in. So these people are called priority cases. We're allowed to sell them homes. The way we sell them homes obviously is very different. So sanitary measures apply. Obviously, we have to start with virtual visits only to begin with. If the client,
let's stop right there. What is a virtual visit?
So literally, we're not allowed as a realtor. I'm not even allowed to go to my client's house to film anything. So the client has to go to his house or from home, film his property, and then I will submit that to the potential buyer. If he wants to proceed after that, then we can take an appointment to visit.
And how has that been? Are people like, I can't get a sense of it, like I need to feel the home? Has it been, how much harder has it been?
Well, look, it's difficult. I mean, we buy a car, or we buy anything at Canadian. We want to see it, touch it, feel it, smell it. Now you're looking at a house, right? So it's in most cases the biggest investment of people's lives. So, sure. It's not quite the same. I personally am telling people to hold off if we can, because I think within the next couple of days, maybe a week or two, we'll be able to get back to normal.
Amazing. So now you start with a virtual tour. When are you actually allowed to step foot into the potential home that you're going to acquire?
So once we have a lot of documents to sign, right, for the clients. We got to get the COVID. We have a COVID document. So have they been in contact with anybody that has COVID, fever, etc. Then we have to get it's called an attestation, so that clients they have to literally write down why they're visiting, why they've sold, exactly. So it's very strict. Now, once that's been done, we can then proceed with a visit. But now, again, the visits are so it's one at a time with the realtor. If they're a couple, we have to go in 2 times, wash our hands all the time, disinfect, sanitize. Clients aren't allowed to touch anything. And then from there on, we can go forward and make an offer if that's what they want to do.
That's incredible. So now we're in this new period. Now, because things are changing so fast, are you now coaching your clients through this kind of bubble, or are you saying, look, this is getting too crazy. Let's just wait until life is back to normal?
Yeah. No, I've had I'd say 7 or 8 transactions since, which is not much, but it's enough to tell you that it's tough, right? So these people have no choice. They have to move out. So I've literally, plugged holes everywhere I can, the best I can, and we've done it. But any new clients, for example, I have a bunch of prospects that are waiting commercial and residential, and I'm telling them just to hold off because it's just too crazy, right?
So now we know what life was like before and what life is like now. What do you think the real estate industry will take with it when we're post COVID-19?
That's a great question.
What are the good things that have come out of this that the industry can learn?
I tell you, it's a little soon to say. I to be honest with you, I think the market's going to take or may take a hit in terms of pricing, in terms of because what's going on is the banks. So people are losing their jobs. The banks are not obviously going to be able to finance as much. So there is going to be, I don't want to say a drop in price, but I think the market there'll be a correction for sure. And moving forward, it depends on how quickly we all get out of it. If we get out of this, mid-May, June, it could bounce back relatively quickly. If it takes longer than that, then there's the other impacts and issues that will fall into place. So we'll see what happens.
You, like a lot of your broker compatriots, are very entrepreneurial, very sales driven. You can adapt in any market to sell, snow to an Eskimo because that's your personality. But what could you tell us about kind of making it under any circumstances? Has this time taught you anything about sales, about the human psyche that you can share with listeners about? You can still do sales in a pandemic.
Yeah.
You just have to change your mindset, be value driven, be a little bit more compassionate. What are some of the things that have allowed you to get through this?
Well, right off the bat, it took me, and I'm not greatly affected by this. As a matter of fact, it actually kind of felt good at the beginning to kind of take a couple of days off. So it took me about a week to adapt. And then after realized very quickly, and more so as we go forward, people need communication. They need to talk to people. They need to know what's going on. They need to hear it from a professional. So literally to be able to call any client, even a cold call, as we call it in sales, to call clients, to call potential clients, and just see how they're doing. Just ask them what's up, and that alone creates an amazing bond, an amazing contact, and that's kind of what sales is, right? It's more psychological than
yes,
actually selling anything. So that's what it comes down to. So it's about being compassionate, really.
Such a good point, and I've spoken to so many people on the show, from Ben Cohen from Triad Group, who's a sizable developer, and him along with a lot of other fellow entrepreneurs are like, pick up the phone, stop with the emails. People want to know that you're thinking about them, that you've got their back, exactly, and that you're going to be there when this is all over. And strengthening those relationships when you get out of it is going to create a bond of having survived like a war.
Yeah, it is.
So I think you nailed it. That's great.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's the most important part. I did a Facebook Live the other day, and a couple of brokers contacted me saying, "Oh, how do you prospect? How do you, don't prospect. You're not prospecting. Just pick up the phone and call your neighbor, call down the street, call whoever it is, but just call and just don't talk about real estate. Just talk about you, talk about them, listen to them. That's what they need right now, right? That's what everybody needs."
So you've gone through all this, you've survived, you have a lot of different lessons that you're going to be taking from this. What's one thing that you've been surprised or really appalled at about human nature during COVID? Do you find people were generally compassionate? Do you find that people showed the worst of themselves? What have you found, Frank, as a person, about society during, really the hardest time in recent memory that we've collectively been through?
You know what? It's tough. I'm at a 50-50 with that, because I did see a lot of people. First step was panic. We're all essential services. We all need this. We all need to work. And that's not the case. Then after seeing other colleagues, regardless of the sanitary measures, still pushing forward, still going out, putting out signs, putting out knocking doors. I think that was wrong, and that's greed. According to me, you have to not worry about yourself in this case, but you have to worry about others. and that I saw, and it bothered me quite a bit, to be honest with you. So at the end of the day, and now here we are, we're slowly getting through this, and I feel that finally the compassion for most people, anyways, has come back. So that's pretty much where I'm at. Yeah.
So now you're still clients are still calling you. I mean, you're still prospecting in the Frank Baker way, which is value first, compassion first, and sales will be driven after. What are you telling clients that are calling you now? Is it, let's speak in a week? What do you tell a potential client on the buyer or seller side?
So as I said, I have a couple of prospects that called. I'm literally just telling them at this point, unless they do not have to move, this is not a time to take advantage of the current market or situation. You can't do it, and if you do it, there will be sanctions. So it's not a time to be doing that. So mostly what I tell people, if they can hold out, is literally just wait up. I'll call you next week, and was because it evolves daily, right? So just to wait.
Frank, what's the first restaurant you go to when this is all over, man?
I think I'm gonna go back to Town 380. My buddies, Sean Lamontagne and others. I'm good. I'm due for a good steak and a couple of drinks. Yeah.
I'll see you on the other side, man. Thank you for your time today, sir.
Thank you, my friend. See you soon.
Take care, buddy. Entrepreneurs in Quarantine. Frank Baker, real estate extraordinaire. Get in touch with him for anything that is market related. Solid dude. You look great, brother. Keep up that great hairdo.
Thanks a lot, brother. Bye-bye.
Take care, man.